doctors were striking, they were going on strike. So a lot of them were saying that some doctors are changing their location to go and look for work elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so while some of the doctors are changing their profession,
Yeah.
so they're like, oh, we are just burning out. You know, it just reminds me when you were talking about it, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Is there a way that maybe at one point you can talk about this? Um, maybe something like a YouTube channel, and you can talk about it.
Yeah.
Maybe if you share some of your strategy,
Yeah.
it might inspire some of the doctors, even nurses, and people in the healthcare sector, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is what your topic just inspired me
Yeah.
about just now.
That is true. A lot of doctors in United States, they are leaving the profession because they are not able to deal with the system, and also really not getting the help that they need, the understanding they need. Actually, most of them are kind of demoralized because they are not allowed to do what they want to do for the patients, for their own good, for the patient's good. There's too many bureaucratic problems, too many restrictions about medications and services and all that. So doctors are frustrated that way, and also their license is put in jeopardy lots of times because they are doing things just to make the money for the institution rather than providing good care for the patient. So they're kind of not happy for if they came to help the patient and not able to do. So that's a general tenant. And what I saw was so many doctors want to leave the profession. That's a real problem. And also down the line, we're predicting like a national emergency for this, doctors' availability and also how well they can function. Of course, artificial intelligence is going to help us a lot about really giving a lot of information in a short time, and also that will help us for the guidance of the diagnosis and treatment and all that. But apart from that, the artificial intelligence may sideline a lot of doctors because they are obsolete in that way. But the soft skills, the humanitarian, those kind of things, they still will be needing the doctors. But how are the doctors are doing? That's where I concentrate on inner resilience of doctors, because I myself am like that, always really helping myself with enough time, reflecting inward and doing things that will help me not to react, not to really burn out from within. So that those things that worked for me, I have been sharing with my colleagues, with my other people privately whenever they approach me. But now I'm kind of putting it out there and see what they can do. So what I do is I do some things to prepare for the work, and I do some things during the work, and I do some things after the work. All that really helps me day by day to really understand myself, to really find out the problems that I have, and then getting new recruitments of skills or capabilities that we can develop within ourselves, so that we don't be a victim of all the circumstances that we encounter. Lots of them may not be in our control. So my training is called inner resilience. How can we really empower yourself from within? How can we help you to not to react to things that much, and how can you use your work as a feedback, as a good thing for you, so that you get a lot out of the work, and the work also is benefited by your service mentality. That's what I'm doing, Ellie, and that's working out for me very well. Because when I go to the work, I don't go to the work with a trepidation or drudgery or worry, oh, something may happen. I go there very enthusiastically, and when I participate, it's more like I'm giving service to my patients, which is very meaningful to me. And then when I come home, I have time to really unwind and reflect on things and improve on those things, instead of just being angry, fearful, or just complaining. Is that a sane approach, you think, Ellie?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is same approach.
Yeah.
And I'm quite pleased you are really, taking this on board because we need people in such sector
Yeah.
to really throw more insight into this, because you know
Yeah.
there's a story here in Britain, which is a different sector,
Mm.
but the thing was, it's a school teacher,
Yeah.
school teacher that she's like a school, like the head of the school, I should say. So they coordinate the school to ensure that the school goes well and everything like that.
Yeah.
So recently, I mean, maybe a few months ago, 3 months ago, so something happened whereby they wanted to come and inspect the school.
Mm.
So I mean, there's a way here that the standard of the school must be up to some certain stage or state.
Yeah.
So what happened was, the moment this person, the head of the school, realized, they're coming. I just don't want to mention the name of the place. So they're coming to inspect the school.
Mm.
So I think due to the pressure she always received, she couldn't resist it anymore. She couldn't talk to anybody about it. And what she did was she killed herself. So which is, if we look at it, let's transfer that story. Let's pretend as if it is in the medical sector.
Yeah.
I'm quite certain if we research the story properly, we will see some other people that are also carrying a lot of pain,
Yeah.
which has been, transferring into their relationship or their daily life. That means they're not happy about how things are going.
Yeah.
So you having to even be talking about burnout, about doctors, I think it's a good thing, because it's like you opening their eyes to see things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
So it's good for people in the property in the sector like you to talk about it as well, because when you talk about it, you know the right terminology to use,
Yeah.
and that would help. That would go well or resonate well with the people in such industry. So I want to say thank you for your hard work. It means a lot, and you should keep it up. Keep on doing it, and just ensure that you keep on emphasizing on that very burnout.
Yeah.
What are the strategy? What are the long-term goal? I mean, long-term consequence if that is not looked at or if it's not dealt with. So I think you should keep up with that work. I am really enjoying the topic, and I want to say thank you for that.
I will tell more about how I came to this approach and how I combining both modern medicine scientific approach, and also how I am doing with our ancient methods from all over the world. We can borrow from them. Let's meet Dr. Noy. Am I saying correctly, Dr. Noy? Introduce yourself and tell me how to pronounce your name, and add to this what you think about this. Dr. Noy, I don't know whether I'm saying the name correct or not.
You can use the middle one. There's some other Dr. Joe over there. You can use Joe.
Yeah, Dr. Joe. Yeah, sure. Dr. Joe, can you tell us about something about yourself and what do you think about this burnout of doctors?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, I'm Dr. Tan from Germany.
Okay.
I'm a doctor for acupuncture, Chinese medicine acupuncture.
Yeah.
And as I see the global or the challenge is always. Actually, it doesn't matter whether you're a doctor or not, but now we're talking about doctors. It's too much work in too little time, right?
Yeah.
And there are mainly two big sectors. One is the hospital sector, and one is the private clinic sector, right? Private clinic, I mean a practice sector, so not hospital ambulance sector.
Yeah.
So if you are a doctor in a hospital, then mostly it's let's call it a structural problem. There are so many doctors for so many patients, and then you somehow have to cope with it with night shifts, weekends, and so on, right? And then you can put yourself together with other colleagues and speak up and say, hey, this is too much work for too few doctors, and then maybe something changes. If not, the only other way to go out of that hamster wheel is make your own practice, right?
Yeah.
Now, make your own practice is you need to have an expertise. You need to make something different than other doctors. Otherwise, if you're the same as everybody else, how can you attract the patients, right?
Yeah.
That's one. The other thing is, if you are a doctor in practice already and are then overworked and most of the times also undervalued, I would say, meaning that you treat too many patients. I mean, if those patients are all premium paying patients, just cut it half, right? There's still enough money, so you just work less. But most of the times, there's too many patients, and the work you do, the work the doctor do, is not valued. Financially valued. How do you say? In a fair manner. So that's why the doctor needs to work so much, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you want to get out of that hamster wheel, then the solution, from my perspective, is just treat less patients with higher quality or with highest quality, for which you are able to charge premium, right?
Yeah.
So you do less work, but more higher quality work, and it is better paid. So that's, from my point of view, the way out.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that because.
Sorry. So if you're in hospital, it might take a bit longer.
Yeah.
If you're in your own practice, it can happen very quick.
Yeah. Here in the United States, that situation kind of changed. It used to be mostly private practice and then hospitals, but now it's mostly hospitals and very little private practices existing because it's very difficult to run the private practices economically and also, stress-wise. It's very tough for doctors to run their own practices. Actually, single doctor practice have become dinosaurs, and we cannot run them. It's not cost effective anymore. See, I agree with that. Acupuncture or yoga and all these systems, what they use is the energy that is within us. So once you understand that, in yoga they call prana, in acupuncture the chi, all the same thing, the bioenergy that we have. If we know how to really understand and manipulate and increase it. For example, deep breathing is something that I use quite often. In the morning we kind of do 8 or 10 different types of deep breathing as per yoga, pranayama. And then during the day, every hour and hour, 1 minute break, and then take deep breaths and come back to the presence. And in the evening also another formula. Basically, incorporating deep breathing in our daily routine helps us a lot, especially not to react and also not to think too much. First of all, your thinking will go down a little bit, will be more, you're aware of what is going on within you. And then also your energy is so well spent. Rather than reacting, you're going to respond to things without the emotional reactions that much. So deep breathing is a big part of even normal existence in ancient times. People used to sit down and first deep breathe and calm their mind, and then they go deep into their own inner thinking and all that. That kind of reflection, that kind of inner orientation, I think it is needed now, especially with all this internet, social media, and so much is coming at us, attacking our attention span. We need to make a habit of making this attention increase as a habit. We can do it very simply. In the morning 5 minutes, in the evening 5 minutes. If you start, then also whatever you are doing, pay complete attention to that. Let us welcome Chris. Hi Chris, how are you?
Hey, good morning, doctor. I want to mention, the other day, I think you were in the room
Yeah.
when the doctor was talking. I guess it's almost like an insult. She shared about the time frame that they have to see a patient. 15 to 20 minutes. She was mentioning.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you really diagnose someone and send them off to the drugstore after 15 or 20 minutes? That really was an insult to people.
Yes, exactly. It's a mechanical thing. If a human being is not just a something prescribe and go. You got to understand. You got to make him really see what is going on, and then so that they don't have anxieties about things. So you need to take the time to make sure they understand. So I usually come down to what their language, how they want to explain in the layman terms. That takes time, and also you got to explain 2 or 3 times sometimes for the people to understand everything, and then participate in their own treatment. You're absolutely right. You can never. That's one of the problems. These administrators, they just only look at everybody like a mechanical thing, and they want only 17 minutes or 15 minutes. Beyond that, somebody will come and say, oh, the next patient is waiting. So it's a kind of ridiculous. You can never treat a human being like that. you know Absolutely.
And then also, I think the people, some consumers out there, they're getting, they're searching for help themselves. They're going on the internet, they're going to the bookstore, they're going to the library.
Yeah.
But my perspective, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not in the medical business, but I think lifestyle as a whole has to be the whole picture as medicine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's everything. It's the people you're around. It's how you handle your debt.
Yeah.
It's your family life. It's your food. It's your deodorant. It's all those things. It's the water. People don't realize how important water is.
Yeah.
The high quality water. All that has to do with total wellness.
Yeah.
Approaching someone.
Exactly. I describe Chris more like a awakened healthcare consumer. So lifestyles are very important, and he actively follows those lifestyles and also helps other people to understand them and inspire them too. That is wonderful. That's what I was always looking for. All my patients to be educated about their illness and also understand how that illness started, and also correct those lifestyles. Lots of time it is the lifestyle, but they may not know about it because they are so driven to do work, and they in their own job they have to do so much, and then they may not have the atmosphere or the opportunity to really stop and look at what is going on with me. That's also a societal problem, but then you can change it if you at least spend on yourself before you start work, and during the work be aware of what's going on, and after the work can just reflect on what went on during the day. That kind of commonsensical approach, like putting your health first and then everything else, is not selfish. Is actually a responsible thing to do. And then once you have done the self-care, and then you come and face the work with a renewed energy, renewed strength from within, then you are much better off. Otherwise, you'll be eating whatever they throw at you, you will be doing whatever the work they throw at you, and then you will be reacting whatever that comes your way. All these things indirectly contribute to the worsening of the health when you don't pay attention to all the processed food and avoid it, or inactivity and avoid it, and also be really bombarded by so many stimuli, so you are reacting to everything, and that becomes a problem as the time goes by. That's what I see. Most of the people are burning out. They don't even know. Yeah, Chris.
There's a video on YouTube. This doctor had went to Dr. Justina Sanders is her name. Google had invited her out to speak at the corporation, and she was sharing with them at Google how she went to medical school, and then she got sick herself. And see, the doctor has to be practicing those things in order to share. See, if the doctor, most doctors are not healthy, just like the consumer.
Yeah.
If Dr. Justina Sanders, she was speaking at Google, and she was telling them she had went to medical school, and she got sick herself, and she couldn't even help herself. And she said she went to this one seminar, and she learned really about how the body works.
Yeah.
And she realized lifestyle was your medicine, and eating changed it to a whole food. She changed to a whole food, plant-based diet, food, and how her life started changing around.
Yeah.
And the light bulb went on. Because she wasn't even healthy. See, you can't practice something you're not doing. And see, a doctor should have.
Good evening.
Yeah.
And see, a doctor should have a track record.
Yeah.
If I just like me in real estate, if I'm in real estate, I got a track record of what I've done. If a doctor's in business, he should be able to explain if he's and cancer or whatever, he explained that to his patient, his track record.
Yeah.
I have helped this many people, blah, blah, blah. And that's what Dr. Justina Sanders was sharing when she spoke at Google. She was sick herself. She was burnt out.
Exactly.
She couldn't help herself until she changed. See, I can name off of many doctors. Dr. Colbert out of Don Colbert out of Florida was the same way.
Yeah.
He was a traditional doctor, and his pastor got him to change over. You see, doctors, you got to give truth. Most doctors, their families are not healthy. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. They can't help someone get healthy, just like I'm healthy. I have helped my mother live to 84.
Yeah.
I can share with you things I've done. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you any medicine, telling you I'm treating you or going to cure you of anything. But I can tell you what I've done for my mother to get her to 84 years old.
Yeah. Now that is true. Healing the healer. That's my saying, right? Fortunately, in 1983, I was stressed, but not burnt out because that's too little at the time. But then even work conditions are new to me. I just came into the country and I got a big job and all that. I was stressed. Then I read this book, Healing the Healer, by another doctor who was in the Boston, very prestigious institute, and he became a doctor. And then after that, he found himself snapping at nurses, yelling at people and all that. Then he went back to his place wherever he came from, and then 2 years he spent writing this book called Healing the Healer, or Healer, Heal Yourself, something like that. I read that book, and from that I got a lot about what was going on, even then, what was going on in the healthcare field. And then I was fortunate to go to yoga, which I knew, and that helped me a lot. And then now I devised a program where I teach the program in the wellness club, where I do the yoga with them. I just don't say to them. I do the yoga, and I also follow whatever I am teaching there. Like I say, come be here and now while you are doing this yoga practice. Deep breathe, take this posture, or do this meditation. Whatever I do, I want my students to learn and question, and also learn and do it. And then when I go to the work also, if I go to work, if I'm doing something consultation online here, I just take a break once in a while to do exercise in my room. I just put some threads here in my study. I can go and do that. I have a stationary bike. I can do that too. Or I can stretch myself, which I do myself. And also, I'm always in the present. That is a practice I preach everybody. Just to focus on whatever you are doing. And then in the evening, again, come back and take enough rest, and take nutrition properly, and make sure that you are active during the day. Yeah, you are absolutely right. If the doctor is not healthy, he's not practicing, how can he preach to the other people? Actually, they don't know that they are getting chronically ill because they are not paying attention to their own body, to their own things that are going on within themselves. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody is like that, right?
And see, if the doctor's not telling the truth, if I'm unhealthy and I'm telling my people something different, I'm pretty intelligent. It's just common sense.
Yeah.
And see, I can name 3 doctors: Ray Strand, Justina Sanders, and Dr. Don Colbert. All 3 of those went to traditional medical school.
Yeah.
After getting in school and learning the truth, they all switched over.
Yeah.
And see, people are being not led to truth, and you should have a track record telling somebody how you help them. It don't take a degree. I can tell you 10 questions. I can ask my son and kind of find out, is he pretty healthy? Is he doing? Food is so important. We got to be real. Most people are not getting nutrition into their bodies. And high quality water and nutrition are 2 things that's very important.
Yeah.
Very important to any human being. If my son moved out of my home right now, I would put a water system in his home, and I would make sure he's got fruits and vegetables on a daily 5 to 7 servings.
Chris, let us talk about.
I care about him.
No, let's talk about lifestyle.
Everybody's driven about money.
Yeah.
The capitalist world has corrupted the world.
Okay.
The biggest spending in this world is medical.
Okay,
and
Chris.
Nobody wants to be a customer.
Yeah.
That's
Hold on.
common sense.
Hold on.
Trillions of $100 in medical, and no one wants to be a customer.
Yeah. Let's come to the topic of the day, which is burning out the doctors. Why doctors are burning out? Why they are really not able to reverse that? And it has become a national trend. That's my concern, because if the doctors are not able to take care of the patients, what is going to happen to them as you go into the future? Uh, AI will help, will help patients to be more educated, more really into the knowledge and personalized medicine and all that. But they still need somebody to steer to the system, really make them available real, true scientific things and not be led by misinformation. So we will need the healthcare providers. Not only the doctors, the nurses, the pharmacists, the therapists, and all that. But then, how are they going to do if they are dumped a lot of work, but they are not given a chance to take care of themselves, and also they don't have the means or resources to go to take care of themselves? That's my mission. You see, it's about the how can we help
Hey,
the.
what do you mean they don't have the means to take care of themselves?
Well,
I'm a real estate person. I'm not a doctor.
no. Wait, Chris, wait. Means. First of all, they are given so much work, they don't have time to take care of themselves. That's a major problem,
Everybody has time to take care of themselves.
No, you don't understand.
Everybody has time to take.
No, wait.
They're not getting. They don't know how.
Chris,
They don't know how.
Chris,
Everybody has the means to take care of themselves.
Chris,
no matter how. That's an illusion. Telling yourself you're so busy you can't eat.
No.
You're so busy you can't drink.
No, you don't understand. The demands on the doctor are so heavy. Sometimes they don't have enough time to spend with each patient also. That kind of really frustrates them. And also, as I see the patients in the emergency room, they don't even give me 5 minutes to go to the bathroom. That is the reality, so that's you are a ordinary person, you are doing whatever you do, that's fine. But when you are given these life and death situations where you got to pay attention to the patient, your needs get neglected, not by deliberation, but you don't have the time. You have to understand that by being a doctor or healthcare provider. But if you're a regular citizen, also a lot of people do that, but you are somebody who is awake to that, that's good. Not that everybody is giving importance to the self-care. That is what happens. Okay, so this is a room about the burning out of doctors, and also what we should understand, what we should do. I appreciate Chris being a very informed, awake consumer of health, which is good. That's why I encourage him. I want everybody to be like that too. But doesn't mean that you know everything about the doctor's routines, the doctor's problems, the doctor's things. So I don't want to be not sympathetic to that they are really thrown a lot of work. Suppose you are going to do 20 patients, there's a lot of work with the 20 patients. By the time you're done, you're about to go to home, they come and give you two more patients to admit, which may take another 1.5 hours. So that's how they are dumped too much work. That's why I kind of give them some pointers of how to handle the too much work. At the same time, take care of yourself. That means you have to have a commitment to yourself every day. A lot of doctors think that is selfish, but it's not selfish. It's a really responsible thing to do. Let's say Dr. Joe, what does he say about that? Hi, Dr. Joe.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So that is what I'm saying. So I agree with most of what you said, especially self-care and the breathing exercises, and whether you do yoga, whether you qigong, whatever you do for yourself is very good and important. However, if you do not reduce the workload, then you might be in a better shape, in a better condition yourself, but you're still dealing with the same workload. That's what I'm saying. Reduce the workload by delivering higher quality, highest quality of what you do to less patients who pay premium, right? I mean, there are enough doctors. There's doctors for any patient, right? So now there are so many patients and there are so many doctors, and if you want to save yourself and want to be available for patients at the best of your knowledge and best of your abilities as long as possible, you have to take care of yourself, right? So specialize on those kind of patients who are who are, let's say, pain patients. In the US, you have 80 million, 80 million pain patients, right? Why not concentrate on them? Help
Yeah,
them,
yeah,
right?
that's true. Let's see what Nelson has to say. Hi, Nelson. How are you?
Dr. Rao, hi everyone. Thank you for allowing me to share space with you all.
Yeah. So, Veronica, anything you want to say?
Hello, here I'm saying hello from Europe. My daughter-in-law is a doctor, and the biggest problem with doctors that they have is that there's just so much
Yeah.
stress and time. They have to work unbelievable time hours and schedules, and it rotates. And emergency, she's working in a hospital, so it's
Yeah.
very devastating. So I got a chance to understand the pressure that a lot of doctors are under. I also don't necessarily think it's fair to just give time to those who have money, because the purpose of being a doctor is to help others. But I think reducing hours so that they can give quality time to their patients could be one of the possibilities.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Veronica. That's so true. Europe also is going through a wave of these people either quitting the field or really um, uh, already suffering the burnout. Magnificent. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Tell me, what do you think about this? What we're talking about?
It's sad because in where I am in the Northeast Rhode Island, Mass and Connecticut, all these doctors' offices are being taken over by big conglomerates, and a lot of them are now retiring earlier than they planned, or just getting out of the field. My friend was buying an Oriental rug one time, and she was talking to the guy. Just thought he just worked there. He told her he used to be a brain surgeon, and he left because one time he wanted a certain prescription medication for a certain patient for a certain reason, and the insurance company wouldn't pay for it. So he just, a couple of, happenings like that, and he just decided that he was going to sell rugs.
Yeah.
So, it's a real thing. It really is. I think you really got to know what you're signing up for when you decide to go down that road as a career, because it's a lot of pressure, and it's a lot of short staff a lot of the times. Sometimes accidents happen. One of my friends was telling me the other day they left a sponge in her father, and when the surgeon came in the room, he was like, not my best day, but it really wasn't his fault. You know what I mean? Like, they can't do everything. So I don't know. I think when an accident happens, and they do happen in the hospitals, they will happen. It's only human error. A lot of times they get the brunt of the blame, even if it's not their fault too. And then the whole insurance thing, which is a whole other rabbit hole. I don't know if you want to go down, but I just feel like the insurance are running the show more so than the doctors, and I don't think that's right.
No, that is the problem. You're absolutely right. Insurance companies are dictating the care, whereas money concern should not be there in the patient care. We made it a commodity, and then they are trying to make money out of the commodity of health rather than really providing health for everybody. And science is advanced to the stage where we shouldn't be this unhealthy with all that we know. Also, ancient systems are much better because they're natural. Anybody can do them too. You see, the thing is, we are signing for going there and looking at the patient and talking to the patient, understanding patient, giving everything. And also, this is where Chris, other people are very good about lifestyles. I support the lifestyle changes like anything, but we hardly spend any time with the patient about their lifestyle and how they should be tracing them. See, in my clinic, I was fortunate because I had my own clinic. I can do what I wanted to do. So I started with saying, well, let us find out the root of your disease, where it has come from, why it has come from. If there's a cause, not all of them can be treated, like a genetic things, we cannot do something. But lifestyle oriented thing, like you are eating badly, you are not exercising, you are not sleeping, all those things we can address them, right? We're understanding. Lots of times what happens is these insurance companies don't want to address those fundamental things and don't want to give enough time. They just want to order more tests or more things that will make their money and then bring the patient back and back again, not to make them permanent patient rather than helping them to be well in the long run. That is a concept that is unheard of. How to make people well in the long run so that they will lead a productive life, they will lead less suffering, and then they will have more energy and they will enjoy their jobs or families much better with a good therapeutic lifestyles. That can be done. And you are right, the insurance companies are really pushing the doctors to do so much in such a small little time, and also they may not even approve the good medications that we have. I have several occasions when I control somebody's blood sugar for say, and I use a certain medication, and then they bring the generic, changing the base itself, sometimes changes the whole thing about the medication. What worked for my patient, the same chemical ingredient is, but the base is different, so it acts differently, and my patient don't get the benefit. And all the work we did to control his diabetes, me and my patient, my nurse, my dietitian, all of them together did so much work. That is all done because this insurance company says I'm not covering this medication. What helped my patient, they take it away. It's so frustrating as a doctor. I can understand doctors' feelings, those kind of situations. And actually, the insurance companies are like that because if you take a bigger perspective as a consumer, as a citizen, we all sign for the with the insurance company, say this is what we're going to take, whatever you provide. Then they will say, okay, you have to take what is on the formulary. So in a way we are responsible for insurance companies behavior. But enough people know about the situation and voice and also demand better control on the insurance companies by our legislatures. I think that would be better. So we have to be aware of these things. Yeah, not we shouldn't be hiding them. I have no problem criticizing them and talking about the truth because I'm not afraid of anything that they're going to mitigate to me. So I can always help my patients to lead healthy lifestyles. That thereby contribute a lot more to their health rather than just dishing out medication. For example, I am 69, right? But I'm not on any medication. I try to control everything of my health with good yoga exercises, breathing, meditation, and also being here and now, and not to really worry about the past or worry about the future, but more like station here. That simple thing helps me a lot to be happy and joyful about rather than sitting and worrying about the past things that happened or really project into the future and worry about things. What I do is I look at the past, I learned the lesson, but I don't go and live in there regretting and saying, oh, I should have that. No. Also, in the future, I may plan something, but I don't go live in there dreaming. I actually see, am I doing the step that I planned here and now? Like what Chris was saying, if the doctor is not doing what he is preaching, how can he morally also say to other people? So it has become like a mechanical thing. You just have a degree of doctor, but you are unhealthy underneath, but you don't let it come out, and then ultimately you just burn out, and that's when it comes out. That is what happened to a lot of people. Other thing is, the biggest thing is, we base everything about intellect and thought. That is in the modern life. But what the ancient did was they kind of conquered the intellect and the mind by really going into the witness consciousness, who we are, our energy, our life, our conscious, everything is in there. That has thoughts, that has body, and we can manage these instruments. Of external instrument is our body, internal instrument is our mind. They can be managed better when you are witness consciousness. So what is happening is people get stuck in that intellect and they are not able to get out of it. That's why self-reflection, meditation, and really looking at things on a daily basis. What happened today? How did I react? What were the things that we reacted to? All those things you have to look at. Okay. So that is what I really preach people is turn inward, look at yourself, see your reactions, without any judgment and understand what was happening, why you are reacting, and then try to go to people who can tell you about it, or read about it, or listen to other people, and then learn those techniques and employ them. It's like a daily thing. So when I really talking about burnout of doctors, I'm inviting them to pay attention to these things that are going on, and then take real practical logical steps that you could do on a daily basis, and then improve yourselves from within and come with strength, not with this kind of weakness where we are reacting to everything. I think this applies to everybody, especially now with all the internet and social media throwing so much at us. We need to be capable of handling those stimuli better. So I don't do multitasking. I preach people do one thing at a time, but people are doing multitasking thinking, oh, this is going to be very productive. I doubt that. I don't think so, because I do only one thing at a time. Even the patient also, one patient at a time, unless there's an emergency, and then one patient on the EMR also at a time. That kind of simplifies things and able to handle better. Anybody has a comment on that?
I just agree with you 1,000% on the one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Me, I've noticed with myself that yes, I can multitask, but my focus will something will be neglected. So especially now, I like to make sure I dedicate a time for whatever the task is, not just at work,
Yeah.
but even in my daily life. Like if I'm texting someone, I want to just text that person, and that's the only thing I'm doing instead of
Exactly.
doing
Exactly.
things simultaneously.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Pay attention to every action. You are texting, like Nelson said, that's it. If you are conversing somebody, that's it. If I'm in this room, I'm kind of talking about vulnerable doctors. Let us focus on that. Let us listen to everybody's opinion and all. I agree with you, Nelson, because one thing at a time. Actually, if you take the juggler of the balls, we think he's paying attention to all of them. No, at every given moment, he pays attention to only one ball. So uh, as you focus on one task that is done, you go to the next one. That means you are eliminating the other task from your mind. You are focusing completely here and now with this second task that we have taken up. And that really is a very good thing. And that is a solution for brain fog. So I'm teaching somebody tomorrow about how to get the brain fog out of her, because she's a very valued Instagram person. I think millions of people follow her, but she has no clue about this brain fog. I'm going to take her step by step and make her realize what it is she is doing, what she should be doing. I agree with Nelson completely. We have to pay one task at a time and give our complete attention. Actually, this is called flow state, when you are focusing on only one task at a time and then completely immersed and don't allow other thoughts come in intrude you. That is actually flow state. This is in there's a great book in yoga. It's called Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. That is a bible for the yoga. They talk about how we can stop this continuous thinking chatter in our mind, and then once you stop that kind of chatter, then it is like a lake which is clear and also not having any movement. Then you can see through the lake to the bottom, like you can see your own bottom self when you stop that superficial chatter. Okay, so you understand there are so many principles about that, but essentially the whole book is about that. How can you get to the flow state where your movement of thought not going wherever it wants, but it is really focused? Then what happens is, in flow state we don't feel like we are working. We're happy to work, and then we do that and we give complete attention. And the end of it, if the work done very well and the result is good, you have the feedback from it and you feel so good about it. That's why understanding this brain chatter and where it is not needed, and where the thought can be creative and also at the same time focused to one thought, that is what yoga teaches you. Yoga teaches you how to understand the movement of thought, how to slow it down, how to identify to one thought and see the character of the thought. If it is negative, how to transfer the negativity to the positive, and then going beyond the positive thought to the silence that you have within you. Once you are in the silence and you are working, like for example, if you are driving, in the beginning we pay attention to brake, turn signal, everything, right? Each one we have to pay attention. But later on, it becomes your subconscious memory, and then you have all that, and you will be doing automatically. So you only use the thought when you really want to do something active, like that. System can learn and then go on doing things while you are really focusing on whatever you are doing. And the flow state is very creative state too. So that's a very important thing, one thing at a time. Anybody has any opinion on that, Veronica?
Hello?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to go get my tea.
Yeah, that's okay.
I was getting my tea. So I just heard my name. I said, wait a minute, he's probably talking to me. Yeah. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't get the last ending of that part of the story you said. I'm not going to ask you to repeat it.
No, we were talking about paying attention to whatever we are doing, one thing at a time rather than multitasking.
That part I got. And to be honest, I'm a female. We multitask, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, it's difficult when you don't have the time to multitask. It's clear. If you're in a situation where you're working an emergency or something like that, you can't be on the phone taking care of other things parallel to that. You have to focus on what you're doing. But there are sometimes situations where it is actually practical to multitask when you're not under that kind of stress, for example. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on what it is. In terms of in the work situation, it's probably more difficult to multitask. But I'm a multitasker. I do, like you just saw me now trying to make tea by being on the phone. I'm getting ready to go to work. So I'm constantly multitasking.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works, sometimes it stresses me out as well. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
So I mean, if people have the ability in the situation is there that they are able to, then I think it's okay sometimes, but not when you're supposed to be focusing on your work.
Yeah.
I don't multitask then either. I must be honest. When I'm working, I don't want anyone to disturb me because I'm focusing on getting something done, my assignment done.
So you are attentive to what you are doing, even though you are multitasking. One thing at a time, you are paying attention. The final point is this: are we paying attention to whatever we are doing, and what's the best way? I see many people having this loaded internet thing, which really not their important things. Anything that comes, any notification, they have to respond right away. That kind of thing causes problem. But if you identify what is important for me and what is urgent, what is not important but urgent, what is not important not urgent, like that, if you four quadrant are there, if you know what is meaningful to you, and so you're that kind of I think mothers do that very well because they can see the kid, and then they can do the stuff at the same time their attention is on the kid. That will be the priority. If something happens, they will leave everything and come to the kid, right? So that kind of importance is there, and we identify what is most important for me, my family, my career, my causes, whatever, like that, right? And then you say non-urgently you are doing them every day, then you won't have a situation of urgency anytime because you are doing what is important for you all the time. Whereas if you are responding to something very urgent but not important, that's really you're doing a lot of things that are not important for you, but you are making an urgency out of them. That kind of thing. Stephen Covey in this 7 habits of most effective people, he gives that table and he invites everybody to be this identify what is important for you, and then make sure you are doing them in a non-urgent manner all the time. That way you will be doing what is important for you. At the same time, you are doing not when there becomes a crisis, even before that. I think that approach is very good in that sense, right, Veronica?
Yes, I agree. Prioritizing is important.
Yeah, but in doctor lives, what happens is you are with a patient and the patients, you are at a stage where you are eliciting history and examination of the patient, where you're going to make significant decisions on the patient care and also communicate to the patient. And suddenly, three, four nurses come and asking for small things that they can wait. So they don't. They have taken away that liberty of making a physician as the captain of the ship for the patient care, and everybody else kind of takes the cues from the leader for the patient care, not leader for the people, but leader for the patient care. That is eroded quite a bit, and that's why you are doing one patient, four different people come on to you, sometimes 50 people come on to you, and then so much disturbance. That's one of the things that doctors getting really fried about, because they are not able to focus on any one patient at any time, and then sometimes important decisions are missed because they are forced. That is that those are the pressures I can understand, because I'm a physician too. I am what I do is I make a routine that is easy for them to follow. In the morning, I used to do this. Now I'm only telling, that's why I don't have to do it. When I go to the hospital, I used to do this. In the morning, I go to each patient care area, because we can have patients in different wards, right? So we go there. And then I meet the charge nurse and tell them what is urgency for you. Is there anything that I want to do for you that is urgent? Then they will tell me. Then they won't come after me for that, So they say, oh, this patient is discharged, is going to nursing home by 9. We need a signature from you, something like that. Or they may say, oh, this patient is going for a scan, he needs an injection ordered, that's something like that. So all those emergencies in the morning, I go and attend to them. The small emergencies or big emergencies. And then I get a detailed rounds after that, where I'm not disturbed with each patient unless there's an emergency. That's okay. And then in the afternoon, I take another round with my patients when the patient's family come. Then the communication between me and the patient and the families is better. When we are after this kind of 3 round status, that helped me very much to not to be pulled by these people for their so-called emergencies versus real emergencies. That really made a lot of difference for us. But I still preach people pay attention to one patient at a time, which is a very good thing, as much as possible. And then people will be distracted by some things, okay, but at least that style helped them not to have these emotional reactions or irritations or angers within themselves, which are really burning them out. So I asked them, what is the reason why you should have reacting to everything as though it is the end of life? It's like a small honey is brought by the bee to the honeycomb, and it becomes too much, it pours down. That's what happening with the burnout and stress, because even normal people do that. They accumulate small stress on a daily basis in several encounters, and then they accumulate the stress and it pours down. So what we want to do is, why do you have to react to everything like that? Just be non-reactive but responsive. For that, I teach deep breathing, which really helps the parasympathetic nervous system to be activated, which is the rest and digest system, which is an antidote to the sympathetic overload, which comes with all these reactions. That sympathetic overload, fight or flight, that goes down, and this parasympathetic nervous system helps them to be cool under pressure, to be taking it easy under pressure, and then do the stuff in a cool manner, in a flow-like manner. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Any reactions to that? Deep breathing, parasympathetic nervous system, and rest and digest, and really be in the flow state.
I just like to make a little comment because I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. Yeah, when you were talking about being mindful, doing one thing at a time, and a lot of times dietitians or whoever calls that intuitive eating, right? Like you shouldn't be driving your car, eating your breakfast.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be, that kind of thing. And I think that's really important, and I think that's really lacking.
Yeah.
I know in my family when I grew up, dinner was on the table, at 5 o'clock. My mother made the dinner. We all ate together, and
Excellent.
I think that's kind of going down the tubes. I know there's some families that still do it, but
Yeah.
I would imagine that one person's on their pad, the other person's on their phone. I could just see it,
Yeah.
and I think that it would, I'd be amiss if I didn't at least mention intuitive eating.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I also ask them, sit down and eat mindfully. Not only that, be gratefully. To so many people help to bring the dinner to the table, like maybe 15 people. From the person who grew, from the person who polished, made a cooking, all that, right? If you take it, there are so many people involved in that, and also be thankful to the food that is giving its life to give you life. These three principles I always talk about, and I do the pillar of nutrition. I will take the concept of the nutrition because they keep up with the new findings of it. But also, there is a perspective for ancient Ayurveda about nutrition being the medicine, and nutrition have these biological energies which are also there within us. So if you eat a lot of chilies, for example, you have what is called rajas, that is the activity, excess energy that runs like a swollen river. So to control that, you want to cut down chilies like that. There's this understanding of it. But modern understanding about what is needed, requirement. You don't need too much, you don't need too little, so that you get the essential amount of vitamin in you, or supplements, or there's a Leroy Hood I was studying yesterday about. He is an 84-year-old. He is a biotech person. He did a lot of biotechnology on himself too. So he kind of tests himself about any toxins he has in his body, and then acts for against them. That's very important. So nutrition is fundamental, right? So a lot of people live for to eat, but what I'm saying is eat to live, but not to live to eat. There's a difference in there. So food industry has made it like a, oh, it is all eating, you have to have the pleasure and all that. Yeah, you can have the pleasure, you can savor, but don't develop a psychological habit. So nutrition has a lot to talk about. What she was saying is, when you are eating something, sit down and eat. That itself makes a lot of sense because you can assimilate better. And also, for myself, what I do is, I want to eat when I'm hungry. I don't want to eat more like a habit, you know. So that way, body also goes to the circadian rhythm. Body knows when it wants to eat, and then it will digest better. I don't do formal fasting, but this kind of working up to a ravenous appetite, and then sitting down and savoring the food and eating the correct quality of food. All those things are very important. What she is saying about eating on the go is very real. One time I was sitting and eating in the doctor's room, and one of my friends came in, and he was saying hello to me, and the same breath he caught a sandwich, and then the same breath he was putting in his mouth, and he was munching, and he left. By the time he left and opened the door and left, he already ate the sandwich. That's what she's talking about. The people do that, that's to be avoided. You can easily take 5 minutes and sit down and eat mindfully, so that you can digest the things better too. I agree with her totally on that. This is what goes on. We don't pay attention to what is happening around us in small things, and we kind of worried, hurried, and always trying to achieve something that may not be meaningful for us. But at the same time, meaningful things are not done because you are burnt out, you are stressed out, you don't have the energy, or you don't have the enthusiasm to do things because your mind and heart is not in there. So that alignment from what you want really in life to what you are doing, and to make them come into that alignment of what is important for you, is very, like Chris was talking about. Suppose your health is your value. For example, you want to be healthy, energetic, and also really enjoying your life, your relationship, or whatever you're doing. You need to have the energy, right? To have that, you got to keep your instrument of body mind complex in a tip top way, right? So to do that, these things have to be really understood, these lifestyles, and then it will be very good. Hi, Rocky, welcome. Rocky is
Hello.
Shoot, excuse me, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
just want to say thank you for this room, Dr. Wild.
Yeah.
I have to go. I
Yeah.
have to go to work. Have a lovely day, and thank you for the room.
You too, Veronica. Don't multitask. Do one task at a time. I'm just kidding with you.
I will definitely come back whenever I can.
Yeah.
I love these kind of rooms, and just keep up the good work because
Okay.
you're trying to do something positive. Much love to you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, Veronica. Hi, Rocky. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. Rao.
Good
I
morning.
am well. I'm
Yeah.
not a doctor, but I wanted to come and support you.
Yeah. Sure. I'm so happy to see you here because the burnout is not just for the doctors, even though I'm talking about doctors because I know doctors burnout a little better, maybe. But I see all the people who come to me having the burnout due to internet or too much information or don't know how to handle that information, that kind of thing. So, have you heard anything we were talking about? You have any questions or comments?
No, I just came in, I think, when Miss Veronica started speaking, so I missed everything. But
Yeah.
I see your replays are on. I'm going to go back and listen to them.
Yeah, one thing she was talking about, I think, applies to me and to you also is multitasking versus every task. What I preach is do one thing at a time, and this multitasking is promoted as though increasing productivity, which is actually, if you take the long run, it is not. If you look at it, actually, it takes away your attention span, and that is destructive in the long run. On the other hand, if you are doing four tasks, don't do all of them at a time. Whatever you do, even for a few seconds, if you are doing 5 seconds one task, be completely focused on it. That's what I'm talking about. Because I do a lot of stuff in a day, but everything I do, each task I focus attention on. Make sense?
No, that is very, very good. I think where I'm working on now is trying to, like, I do multitask,
Yeah.
but trying to have focus on one thing because now that I know better, it's harder to
Yeah.
focus,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
So that we were talking about these four quadrants that we can divide our tasks into, like what is important for me but non-urgent, and then what is urgent but not important, what is non-urgent, non-important, and then what is important but non-urgent, like that. If you can focus,
Is that called the Eisenhower matrix?
yeah, that's the matrix. So that is,
Awesome.
yeah, that is the one. That is what you do is you can sit down and reflect and say, what is that I'm going for, what is important for me, can I do these things constantly in a non-urgent way so that I feel like I'm focusing on what is important for me, and also I'm doing not because of the pressure but because I want to do it. So that quadrant, second quadrant, important, non-urgent, if you can do most of the day your those things, then you are better off. But lots of time what happens is we do non-important urgent things or non-important non-urgent things. So a lot of gossip, lot of things that we don't need, we do that. What we do for the fun, that's also important because for you in the long run, important is your body and mental health. Mental health will be there when you are doing what is important for you, and you are kind of really restricting other things, like I do in the clinic. For example, what I did was I made sure there are people who attend to my patients calls and patients visits and all of that. There's a whole lot of staff for that. So there's systematic effort about separating myself from those things that can be done by others so that I can do what I can do the best, that is interacting with the patients, making life and death decisions, and making sure they are employed and services are there, staff is there, everything is managed and all that, right? But I'm left alone, not to take the regular calls, phone calls, not to attend to everybody that's coming in the front door, but more like I attend to them up there prepped and brought to me. Then I focus on the patient and completely one patient at a time. That helps me a lot because the patient tells me a lot because I'm attending to him completely, and also I can make the decisions better because I don't have to worry about all the other things. When I order test and all that, the nurse will take it over and then she will make sure that is executed. One thing I do is I clone people before I delegate anything to them. That means they are doing things to my values, to my standards, and that way they will get the compassionate human care, the patients, right? So once they are able to understand my philosophy, once they are doing that way, then I will delegate things to them. Make sense, Raki?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I just need to be intentional about writing that stuff down.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. We are going to work with you tomorrow anyway, so you will get a lot more in there. But basically, I'm talking about the burnout I'm seeing among the doctors a lot. And what I feel is what we are using as an instrument to relieve the burnout is the instrument that is causing the burnout. That is too much intellect, too much information, everything outward. What I'm trying to turn out is that's fine. You can use the information, all of that, very good scientific information, all those things are, I'm deep into that too. But what about the inner resilience? How we are reacting to situations, how we are inside. Are we happy? Are we joyful? Are we well in our life? That part is missing because it's not done with intellect, it is done with your intuition. How you are feeling, you can feel yourself intuitively. Yeah, I'm not happy, I'm doing all these things, but I'm not happy. Like a lot of doctors feel that because they are pressured by the insurance companies to do their way, not according to what is needed for the patient or what is good for the patient. That's where any good doctor will feel bad because I'm not helping my patient, I'm not servicing my patient. Maybe other things are there because these people feel weak, they feel that pressure within themselves. So that's
No,
what,
that makes sense. That's accurate.
yeah, that is what I'm focusing on other people too, because how can you really bring out that inner resilience that is potentially there, but is covered up by how we approach intellect, how we approach ego, and how we approach what we think is important. Things are not important, Rocky. That is the thing. This is how we have quality of life within ourselves, of the love, the wellness, the joy that we have within ourselves. If we focus on that, I think a lot more people will feel better with less money, with less things. But then this actually this joy and wellness comes from within, and that is not understood very well. So outward scientific thing, all the intellect, everything else very good. But then what about the human being? That's where I think the intuition makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, sometimes I struggle. Well, I'm not gonna say I struggle, but I think I'm really like I am busy, but I'm not productive, and I think that's something else that I was focusing on as well. Is like you said, like what really is important, and I
Yeah,
need to figure that out
yeah.
versus just doing a bunch of things that aren't going to move me forward.
You see, I talk about the ancient wisdom all the time. I'm not religious. I don't claim myself to be in any religion, but I look at all the religious things also. I learn the wisdom from them without identifying with it because I think we are only one tribe, human tribe. That way we don't have to separate ourselves by giving a label for ourselves. So I'm not like a particular country, particular religion. Given that, what they said was human life can have four ways of living. Like people can go and work for a living, and they can go and have some fun. That they call, first one is called like ardha. That means you gain your treasures or monies or whatever, right? And then kama is the desire, this is the pleasure now. These two are okay, but they are not by themselves fulfilling. They are the needs. Sometimes they look like they are the fulfilling things, but they don't. They do in a short time and they go away. And then you have to do these things in a righteous way, not in a cheating way, not in a way that is harm to the other people, other system itself. Okay, these three ways: dharma, artha, kama. But essential thing is moksha. That means liberation from your own inner mind compulsions and vagaries and all of that. That's where the mind is not transcended when you don't pay attention with intuition. That is what I learned. Then all the money did not satisfy me, and all the desires that were fulfilled did not. But then, when you understand this and went beyond the mind with inner attention, that gave the fulfillment. You are already full, and there lies the inner joy and happiness. That made a lot of sense for me. That's why this work and all those things, I converted the work as a means for me to be joyful. So I go to the work, or anybody calling here now on the tele, I consider it an opportunity for myself to serve, and that serving itself is happy for me. I'm not saying everybody should do it. I'm just telling you these philosophies that were there in ancient times when they concentrated on simple outward life. Whereas modern, what we're doing, we have multiple things outward, but they had inner higher thinking. Whereas we in the modern life, we want everything to be within 5 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Okay. So inner richness, we want it, but we don't pursue it. So what I'm telling people is, want to reverse it a little bit. You don't have to completely sacrifice all the things you have. Only thing you want to have is not to have a selfish attachment to those things, because they are not permanent. Once you have that attitude, then you're contained and really satisfied within yourself, and then come to the life with that fullness. So there's nothing like a lack. There's nothing like asking for something, because you're already full. Your cup is full. See that inner cup is full, and then come to the life. Then whatever you do will be wonderful. That's my attitude. Yes. Am I being too esoteric or something? Some people say it's all woo stuff, but it's not really. Uh, this is pretty deep in psychological terms too, because psychiatry used to treat people who are anxious, depression, and all that. But now they switch to positive psychology, where it's called PERMA. Dr. Seligman, who has done this. P is pleasure. You can have pleasure. Suppose you are watching a football game outward there, and then you can have some pleasure, but that's not as much as the next thing is engagement. You go and actually play the game with people, and they say, okay, that's pretty good. I'm having more fun when I'm playing rather than just sitting and watching, right? So be engaged person, and beyond that, relationship, the parallel, right? R is relationship, where what kind of camaraderie you have on the field. Do you have a competitive spirit or cooperative and having joy and enjoyment, just playing under the sun, in a friendly atmosphere, not like trying to dominate people, that kind of thing, right? And then next to the M is perma, right? M is that meaningful activity. Suppose you are playing the game, but you are paying for a charitable cause of your heart. You want to donate some money to these orphans or something, and that makes a lot of sense for you. Then you have much more enjoyment. So from pleasure, from to engagement, and to the meaning. So meaning, that's what they are talking about in the olden days. Actually, this Dr. Seligman himself tells he borrowed all this from that kind of ancient philosophy. And then the activity. Parama is the activity has to be something you are doing and you're relishing and you're gaining out of it. So I teach what is called ever renewing energy. As you come into the activity, as you're doing it, it should renew your energy much more, because you are not really spending energy, you are gaining energy. You are not depleting energy, you are actually doubling your energy, because you have much more satisfaction and meaning. I think this is a good model for the modern people, because we are led by so much information, so many things outside. We need to take a break, not that completely sacrifice them. What I'm saying is break from them and nurture from within, and then come to life. Any comments on that? So it's like taking a look at modern life and understanding modern life, and where it can be good for us, but it could be too much good for us, maybe too good, I think. And also rein back, and then go back within yourself and find out, hey, what's going on? What's going on in the life? What am I doing? Then that inner resilience that comes out of that that will guide you through the life. That's the inner wisdom we talk about. And with compassion, when you do it with everybody else, that becomes much more meaningful. Even the friendships, even the laugh we have together with a friend, we enjoy that, right? That's where it is coming. It's not coming from a thing. It's just having that moment where we laugh together, where we see things together. Where, those kind of things are not bought with money. They just are there, the inner joys. Synthetic joys have taken over us. So limit them and go for the inner joys that are already there. That's what I'm talking about in a major way. Make sense, Raki? Or am I talking? Ooh.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I'm over here taking notes.
Yeah.
And it's so much in the mindset, and it seems like all the advice you're giving, it really boils down to not overthinking things and
Yeah.
just kind of relaxing into things, which I think is so important because we put so much pressure on ourselves sometimes.
Yeah, it's a more than mindset. Well, I would say it's a mindset, but then there is something beyond your mindset that kind of shapes your mindset. I'm talking about deeper inner self that is like a witness. I am. Rocky has this feeling always, I am. And that one you want to focus on and stay there. Then this thinking automatically stops. But if you rely on thinking, it will go on thinking, thinking, and then that thinking is a paralysis itself. So what it is have a feeling of observation, feeling, not thinking, feeling of what is that's going on within me. That gap, if you can create a little bit, then the thought will be under control. You can think, you like I'm here, I'm thinking, I want to convey something, and I'm telling in language, but I know exactly where I'm coming from, not from my thought, from my deeper silence. And that once you catch that, then you can do a number of things, but at the same time, you're always settled in that silence. It's a difficult thing, but
I like that.
yeah.
I think I need to meditate more.
Yeah. It's kind of meditate is actually has a deeper meaning. Suppose you are in the thoughts going all over, then you need to get them together to the center. That is meditation. But suppose in this inner silence you land up, that doesn't have a thought. So you don't need that. What is that? Our awareness of our thoughts, our awareness of our feelings, our awareness of our interactions. So land up in the awareness and bring that forward and then use the thought and body. They will be under your control. But otherwise, it's like a vacuum. Your thoughts come up and then you suppress them. That is meditation. And then they come up again. But this awareness thing is all the time. So I call that meditative awareness. Actually, I wrote a book on that. So bring the awareness forward and keep the thought under control. It becomes under control because you are always in awareness. For example, you are here, you are aware of what's going on within you and outside of you, and then you are anchored in that awareness, then all these thoughts, everything makes sense. But if you take this another thought, I want to remember, keep it, implement all that, then you miss that here and now. It's not a crime or anything. I'm just describing what is a better instrument than meditation is like a projection of the thought, same thought.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
I have to feed my kids, Dr. Rao, because
Yeah.
I'll be on here all day. I
That's
appreciate you, and
Yeah.
I look forward to our session as well.
Yeah, that's important. Feeding the kids, definitely, Rocky. Yeah. So I love Rocky's rooms when I go there. She does so much service, so many things. So we're going to work on brain fog, like everybody else. We have that too. But essentially, this just question yourself: am I aware in this moment, or am I allowing my thought to run all over? That itself, you don't have to report to anybody. You can find out. And from there, try to manage to be in awareness at least twice a day, before work, after work. And then it becomes something that you can have it all the time. You will always need to. So for me, and deeper sages, people who have looked at these things deeper, they make a lot more sense for me. What I kind of came upon to continuously play in my mind, like, is like attention to attention has to be given always to the self underneath you, the inner self. Attention has always to be poised on your inner self. That's the exact quote. Once my thoughts come, I kind of buried in too much thinking and all that. The moment I remember this, immediately I end up in that awareness, and that itself stops my all the thinking. That's what I'm trying to share here. It doesn't happen just like that. That's why we start with the suppose you have desperate thoughts all the time, then we kind of make you to concentrate maybe on the breathing, and then once you focus on the breath and bring your attention to that, and then if your attention goes away into thoughts, then bring it back. So maybe that's enough in the beginning. And then as you see that, as you deep breathe, you notice the thoughts have slowed down. When the thoughts slow down, you can go all the way to one thought later of several months or several weeks or whatever your capacity. And once you have one thought and you can identify it's a negative thought or a positive thought, and then the next step is how can I really change this negative to positive? That they call in cognitive reframing in English here, and also in yoga, pratipaksha bhava. That is opposite to what you are feeling, right? Usually from the negative to positive. And then once you are stationed in the one thought, which is a very difficult thing to, then you got to transcend the thought into your inner silence. That there are so many more stages are there, but that's not needed in modern life. What you want to do is, I don't want to let my thought go all over. I don't want to go it in a purposeless way. So I want to take a break every day in the morning, in the evening, especially right after I get up from sleep and just before I go to sleep. If you do that, and then it slowly it becomes a, otherwise, if you go on with the devices all the way to the sleep and you wake up and you get then it will establish you in that network of thoughts, and there will be always. You don't need to do that. I use a lot of equipment. I have iPhones, I have iPad, I have computers and all that. But I have this habit of shutting them off when I'm not using them for some purpose. Okay, this is also important for me to do these rooms to convey to people who may be having no clue about burnout, who may be really suffering silently, and they may hear this and they may come and grasp one thing, and then that changes their life. One person, one thing changes, that's enough for me. I am not for the comments or likes or anything like that. But I have to do a good job of sending the invitation to everybody so that everybody knows this is happening and they may come and check it out. A lot of people tell me that they check out the replays. That's also, even if one person is here, I will go on because I know that audience is there. And my job is only to give. After that, it teaches his mark and all that. It's up to the divine. Anyway, anybody else has any comments or questions? Dr. K is here, and let me ask him. He usually has good things to share. Love is all about Dr. K. Maybe he's busy today, so usually comes up and talks to us about something. Anyway, thank you very much. I always want to come by 8 o'clock in the morning and do at least up to 9 o'clock. So anybody wants to come up and talk to me, or we can close now. Let's say. All right, we will meet again tomorrow. Tomorrow definitely at 8 to 9 because I have somebody wants to come. Yeah. Chris, okay. Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
Hey, I just want to say I appreciate all the room today, sharing with the people how to heal the people. And I think the world is going with the hyperinflation that we had the last 3 years.
Yeah.
A lot of people are feeling the pinch financially.
Yeah.
And I think it's more important now than ever than help to talk prevent and really help people get to, because in 10 years from now, we're going to have a real mess. Because in the last 40 days, I've had probably 15 people call me with financial problems, and that affects their health. I know that. So I know they are just a few people, and if we don't do something today, we're going to have a problem 10 years from now. It's going to be worse than coronavirus. And I just want to let you know I appreciate what you're sharing, because preventive right now is needed more than ever. Because nobody in my lifetime, I never experienced this hyperinflation like we've had the last 3 years. I just want to let you know we appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
That is very true, Chris, because people are having. See, one of the things about the ancient wisdom is how can you understand and not overcome suffering, but transcend suffering. Okay, the productivity also is better when we are having the balance within our work. But still, this hyperinflation is a real problem, and with the AI, with all the good things it can do, it is going to enhance this inequality, of the rich and the poor much more. Ever since I came to this country, I came into this country when Reagan was the president. He just got elected. I came in 81, right? And from then onwards, the inequality has really grown. Of late it has grown a lot more, but that also we can have this what it is limit our external needs, and then understand there is inner joy. Those things will help too, but definitely we have to work towards the equality of people, first developing this equanimousness within us. Yeah, I agree, this is a really difficult problem. The money that used to buy a lot is not buying anything, and people are really suffering. That is going on. That's one thing I see is everybody talks about technological excellence, but when I see the quality of life of people, like Chris was mentioning, this hyperinflation is eating away everything, and only the people who have money, they're okay, but otherwise everybody else is suffering. That is also there. So this kind of strength we can give for people to from inward, maybe it will help them to learn the AI and other new skills better, and then use them to make more money that way, and also help to control the inflation in other ways too. We will talk about that later. For today, that's enough, I think. I will see you again tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Okay.